My name's John Woodruffe. I'm Business Support Manager at Herts Chamber. I'm joined today by Frances Harris, who on my screen is next to me to the left. Many of you will know Frances. She's been at the Chamber for some considerable time, and she is our Export Manager and a real guru, obviously, on export forms. The plan today really is to go through the new forms for exporting since the trade deal of the 1st of January, and also to just give a little bit of update as to how to complete the forms properly, if you like. We've got to tighten up a little bit. Everyone mostly does it right, 95% right, but there's just a few tweaks. But the slides will be available after this. We'll send them out, or they'll be on the website. So please, if people can use that as a guide going forward. We've also got joining us, I'm very pleased to say, Alan Bracken, who some of you again might know is our chamber trainer, difficult to say, on forms. He knows an awful lot about exporting, been in it for many years. He'll be coming in on the question and answer session, which we'll have when we finished the slide presentation, and helping us out with some of the questions. I was going to say, please bear with us. Frances and I, it's only been 14 days since the agreement. Things have been quite fluid. We are trying to follow as best we can what's going on. We've had an awful lot of inquiries. We'll try and answer your question. If we can't, I promise you we'll make a note of it, and we will get back to you with the answer as best we can. Also, I'll say a few words as well, his thoughts about the deal, and also about the issues at the border, etc., etc. Okay, I won't say more at this stage. I think if everyone's happy, we've now got 47 participants, which is great. Frances, over to you, if you'd like to start the
yeah, slide. Thank you, John. Shall we start our slideshow?
Yes, please. Thank you. While that's just coming up, this is being recorded, by the way, as well, and will be available on the website as well. Frances, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Sarah and John. This is just an overview and some examples of what the new form is going to look like, but it is practically identical to the old one. It just says United Kingdom. There's a few subtle differences, but it's the same real procedure as before. We're just trying to encourage everybody to fill things in a uniform way, because that makes it very much easier for us to check, for you to fill in, and for your client the other end and the overseas to correlate and match up documents with shipments with the other documents that they need, like invoices. So we're just going to show you what it looks like and how to fill it in, and it isn't difficult really. If you can create an export invoice, which you can all do, then that must be the hardest piece of document you need to do. These are just supporting that. So can we have the next slide, please, Sarah? Have a look at what we're going to look at today. You're right. So this is the certificate of origin, and if you've got any of the old type, you'll see on the right here, it's got United Kingdom rather than European Community. And possibly the most significant change is in the country of origin, we always had to precede the member state with European Community. We don't have to do that now because we're not in there. So you just put the countries of origin, and it's preferable to put it out in full like United Kingdom. So you can see with this example, it is just an example, that you've got the person's the consignor there is more or less exactly the same details as you would have on your document. So everything replicates and it matches. This makes it, as I said, easier for us to check and easier for you to fill in, and for your customer. The description of goods can be as simple as I've put here in the example, because you're now putting the invoice number that it relates to and the date of that invoice. We do need to know the markings, the number and type of packages, and the total gross weight. These are sort of mandatory fields. You can put the address there, or you can put a phrase addressed as consignee, 1 box, 1 pallet, 2 cartons, whatever, description of the goods and the invoice it relates to and the weight. So it can be quite simple. If you need to put more detail on that, you can do that. You'll see it, there's a lower portion of this field, of this box, where you can put copy and paste anything that you might have on a letter of credit or something. So you've got plenty of room on that on that form to fill in. Most people use the ECERT system to fill these in, so it will have the boxes quite easily. You just point and fill them in.
Francis, sorry,
Yes.
can I just interrupt? I've had a couple of messages coming up. Susan Martin, one other. I don't have any sound.
I've got sound.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can Sarah? I don't know.
This is
Sarah,
Debbie Fluorocarbon. I can hear.
you can. Thank you. Brilliant. Yeah, I'm getting messages saying from others they've got fine. So it only sounds like a couple of people. Sorry to interrupt, but so it's important everyone hears it, obviously. Another new message, sorry. Good here, I have sound. Sarah and Alice, it sounds like at the moment it's just you two.
John, it might be better if the people who don't appear to have sound perhaps log out and log back in again.
Fine, okay, if that's the way around it.
One suggestion to try and help.
Okay, so if I type in, sorry everyone.
We can hear you. Hear us.
Okay, so let's do that and see. Sorry, everybody, it's a bit difficult. Not sure. Do we just carry on, or do they?
I think if everybody is all right, bar a couple of people, then
we should carry on.
to carry on.
Yeah,
we are recording this, so they can watch it.
I made a note. I'll be in touch with them. Okay, sorry, Francis.
Okay. It's all right. Shall we do the next slide then, please? This shows you the back of the form, and this is something that is really important to fill in for us. You've got 3 little boxes at the top. The first one you have to think of as being animal, what do they used to call it? Animal, mineral or vegetable. So it's things that are absolutely wholly produced. So you might have wool products, you might have a certain food or meat product that is purely produced. Anything manufactured, it is deemed that there might be some components or parts that aren't made in the UK. So if you have a pen, for example, you might have the nib there, you might have the ink inside, the colouring that made the plastic. You know, it's always considered that there might be a component that is not UK produced. So that's why the second box is always ticked for UK manufactured goods. Anything manufactured outside the UK now, it's the third box down that's ticked. Then you put the name and address of the manufacturer underneath, and provide us proof only if it's of foreign manufacture. So if it was made in China, for instance, you'd need some kind of proof. I've put on the other side the sort of proof that is accepted. But again, if you have any queries, it's best to call us. I don't want you to go to any sort of expensive or time-consuming delves into your archives or anything to find proof. Talk to us first. There are some companies that have many origins. They export small parts, components, or they might have processed foodstuffs, for instance, that come from many different lines. So they would talk to us about what to do to provide origin. So there are different aspects that you can do to provide proof of the foreign manufacture. But if it's made in the UK, not even necessarily by yourselves, but by someone else, then we don't need the additional proof. Some questions coming in. Can we see the next slide then, please? Okay, this is just another example that I've put in. So if you had, for instance, Chinese origin, I tried to make it as simple as possible. So you would have your same invoice, but it's got Chinese origin in that book. So if we now look at the next slide, please, Sarah. You can see that you've ticked the third box down, you've put the name and address of the person that made it, and you've put what you've supplied, and there's a copy of the invoice that you've uploaded and supplied with us. So that makes it as simple as we can make it for you. I hope it's quite straightforward. Should we have a look at the next slide? This is the EUR form. The only difference that you can see on this form it sounds minor, but it's quite a big change, isn't it? Because up in this box 2 here, it's got United Kingdom rather than the European Community. And this is where we're learning all the time about what countries are or do not accept them. There's a lot of provisional agreements, and there's a lot of agreements that have been made. Switzerland, I put as an example there. Again, it's the same principle of trying to make sure all your documents are consistent with one another and the way you put the addresses out. If you've got a very lengthy address, you can abbreviate it a bit. For instance, we're at, say, for instance, we're in Maclaurin Building, 4 Bishop Square. You could miss out Maclaurin Building, you could miss out Hertfordshire, you could make the address a bit smaller if you needed to. But you'd have an invoice to back up this form. Can you just go to the next slide, please? Because the back of this has a slight change here. You have to fill in the point paragraph 2. You have to sign and date it all down there. This all gets done automatically with the ECERT system. And point 3 there, paragraph 3, you put the supporting documents that you're going to support this form with. It's usually an invoice, but point 2 is the most change there. You've either manufactured the goods yourself, or you've not manufactured them, but they're of UK origin. The clauses are very similar. There's another clause there, which is very rare, and I don't think I've ever seen it, but that's quite important to get that filled in. So you either put paragraph 2, you either put clause A or you put clause B. There is a line that goes under 1 if it's issued retrospectively, but that's automatically done for you, or you can put that in. I've got a note, somebody sent me a note there. The EUR one doesn't replace the ATR. The ATR is no longer used for Turkey. They were 2 completely different forms. ATRs were for free circulation goods, so you could have any origin on that, whereas EUR ones are used for preference origin goods. The actual upshot at the other end using these forms was that they got it imported at a less or reduced or a 0 rate of duty. So it looks like it's the same principle, but they are different forms. I don't know whether Turkey is accepting EUR ones yet. I don't think they are. It's all under a sort of provisional, it's under a sort of a provisional application for that at the moment, so we're not using them. Yeah. But they're 2 different forms, and we're not using the ATR anymore. Shall we have a look at another slide? I think you can have copies of these slides, but at the moment, this is the guidance that we've got from all the countries that have agreed. You can see some say provisional, and you can see some say full ratification. But as for provisional, we can issue a certificate EUR1 for those countries. Where can you see Mexico there? It's got provisional, but I can do an EUR1 for them. And I've got something waiting to do for Norway, and I'll be doing that today because that's provisional. But at the moment, these are the agreements, and that link at the top is where you could get them updated. We will try to get these updated ourselves. Hope it's not too squeezed up to read that. That's just a guidance list of the countries that accept the EUR1 at the moment. Shall we go on to the next slide? Well, this is the system that we ask people to sign up for. So that's just the link there. It's quite, I think most of you have already signed up to use ECERT, but it's quite an intuitive system. But again, if you have any queries about this, log on, have a go, and just get back to us if you have a query, because it's so much intuitive to use. And if you know, it's easier for me to just say, oh yes, this is what you do if you have a query, but you probably shouldn't. But I do make a note here to make a note of your login, which is usually your email address and your password somewhere so you can remember it, because you can actually use this from any terminal that you're at. So you can be in the office, you can then be at home like we all are now, or some of us, and it makes it very accessible. It's open 24 hours. I'm not, but it's open 24 hours. Shall we go on to the next slide? These are some things that are new to export. It's a self-declaration, which is really a declaration that you put on your letterhead, and it will be along the lines of this clause here. The exporter of the products covered by this, except where clearly indicated, are of United Kingdom origin. It's also a good idea to use that EORI number and put that on most of your documents, particularly your invoices. The long-term suppliers declaration is something that people have been using on and off. I know Germany use it, and they issue people with quite a double-sided form for these. Some people are asking us to stamp those, which we can do if you want. There's some guidance there at the government link to get particular wordings for these. But if you have a look at the next slide, please, Sarah. I've got just an example. I know it's a bit squeeged in, but you see it's not actually that Euromed bit. Sorry, that should have come out. That bit there, ignore that. But it gives you an idea of what you need to put on a long-term suppliers declaration. But I say people like Germany often actually give you their German version of one, and it's basically the same sort of information. What your goods are, you're going to supply them between this period of time, your company name, their company name, and what the origin is. So if we go on to the last slide, I think, is it? Yeah, that's the last slide. But if you have any queries at all, just drop us an email, get in touch with us. I had 32 emails the other day, so sometimes it takes me a while to get through them, but we will get through them. So if you've got any more questions, we're here. Thank you.
Brilliant, Francis. Thank you. It's absolutely excellent. Your expertise and experience came to the fore there. Thank you. Just before I go into the Q&A and Alan as well, so I've had a couple of questions in the chat. Just a little bit of summary. So guidance, there's plenty of guidance for this. Go to the gov.uk websites if you, but as Francis said, if you need any help, do please approach us. Just to emphasise the ATR, I won't go into what the ATR was for those that never used one, but it was for Turkey only, as Francis said. That's completely gone. If you've got any old stock lying around in your offices, please just destroy it, because it won't be used again, even if we ever rejoin the EU. EUR1s, the old ones, likewise, please destroy them. We would reject any that come in with without the UK on. And if you've got any old stock certificates of origin in your offices or your homes now, if you could again gather those, bundle those up, send them back to us. Just let us know you've got 7, 8. Give it to us. Francis will replace them like for like. Okay. On the ECERT, I'd say one good thing about us not being in the building at the moment is that so many more companies have gone on to the electronic system, ECERT. The Chamber of Commerce, British Chamber of Commerce, actually want everybody to be on at some stage, and everyone is nearly on that now, so that's fantastic. It does speed things up, means you get documents done an awful lot quicker. And that's it. There's a couple of other things which I'll save to the end. Okay, so thank you, Francis. I hope you've all been thinking of lots of questions for us. I had one from Lee. And he's asked where do they get copies of the new certificate. I think, Lee, that came up when Francis was talking about certificate of origin. That is us, we have them. I don't know whether you buy in bulk from at the moment, but just ask us basically. Francis, do you want to add anything to Lee's question?
What, sorry? Certificates of origin?
Do you want to add anything to Lee's question, or the answer to Lee's question about supply of the new certificates?
Yes, I mean, if you just contact me, let me know how many you would like, then I can arrange that for him. Plenty of them.
Okay.
I haven't got many EUR1s because obviously they've printed them and sent them out to the entire United Kingdom, so I'm going to try and get some more of those. But yeah, we've got, if he just emails me, I can tell him how many he would like and I can get that arranged.
Brilliant, thank you. Debbie came up with, coming in thick and fast now, the questions, so I'll just go back to Debbie's. Do you have to supply proof if goods manufactured by a branch of a company based in the EU?
If it's classified as being made outside the United Kingdom, if you're saying this was made in France, then yes, we need some proof. But if it was made by your own company, then there's different, you can provide us with some proof that may not be like invoices or anything, might be purchase, might be a dispatch, might be an agreement of some kind. There are ways that you can provide us. But if you're saying this was made, say, France or China or wherever, yes, we would then need some additional proof.
Thank you. The next question, Alan, you might want to come in this one. We were discussing almost this question about half an hour ago. Can you confirm what percentage of the product can be made outside the UK? Alan, you have to unmute. Unmute.
Got it.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
We can.
Yeah. Okay. Very difficult question to answer. I'm not avoiding the question, but in all honesty, I cannot give you an answer right now because it's extremely complicated and I haven't got my head around it yet. But fear not, hope is on the way. The Chamber is hosting, I believe on the 17th, a webinar on that very, very question. So without giving you false information or limited information, I would say to you, please join the webinar on the 17th and all shall be revealed. That's about the only thing I can say, John, at this point.
Okay.
Which is nothing.
It's the 19th, and I'll give the details at the end of that and a couple of other things that are coming up. Yeah, that's fine. And thank you very much. Okay, from Peter Jenkins, I have a few questions. Will there be a requirement for commodity codes in both Europe and New Zealand? I cannot see New Zealand for EUR1. I think that's the first question. Yeah, first part. Francis, Alan, either of you like to fill that one?
You didn't use an EUR1 for New Zealand anyway, and EUR1s are only used for goods with the preference. So there's, whether they're made in the UK, for instance. As for commodity codes or tariff numbers or HS codes, whatever you want to call it, it's a good idea to put those on all your invoices for export, because that will give the customs the information they require. But you wouldn't use an EUR1 for New Zealand anyway.
Can I interject there, Francis?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't forget, folks, that we are not using the, for the want of a better word, the European Union tariff book, which we've been all using for many, many years. We're using the new WTO tariff book. So when it comes to commodity code tariff numbers, call them what you want. I would say to you all out there, first of all, please make sure that the tariff, the old EU tariff number you're using is still the same in the WTO tariff book. Now, I've been going, just giving myself exercises and pulling out a couple of dozen, excuse me, tariff numbers in the old tariff book, and then going to the WTO tariff book. And in the vast majority, they're exactly the same. So I don't want to kind of put the fear of God in you and say they're all changing, but I would say, please make sure that the tariff numbers you're giving are from the WTO tariff book. I have the website here, if anybody needs it somewhere. Yeah, the website to go to check off your tariff numbers in the, it's called the UK Global Tariff Book, or UKGT. And if you go to the following website, it can help you. www.gov.uk/tariffs-1-January, small j, 2021. I'll also give this after this webinar to Francis, so you can always check with Francis, or Francis can send it out to you. So that is the new tariff book. And if I might just digress slightly, make sure for those of you importing that you are using the new tariff, and that the rates of import duty, if applicable, are the same as your road rates, because you got to check that out for your costings. Your costings could be thrown out. I'll stop there, Francis.
Thank you. The next question from Peter. Are COE required for every shipment on repeat shipments of the same product, as I've been advised that you only require this once?
You mean a certificate of origin? Because I'm afraid they're used for every shipment, because if you see the information you put on them, it's the particular invoice, the weight, the number of packages. So those will be used for every shipment. If you have a long-term supplier's declaration, provided it's the same goods part of that, then that can be lasted for a period of time. But certificates of origin are used per shipment. It's very helpful to expedite shipments to actually, I know we probably would say that, but to have certificates of origin, because you've got a set of documents all the way through each time. But yeah, they're used each time.
Okay, thank you, Francis. And Peter's last comment question: when re-exporting products imported from China, then re-exported out into the EU, I would expect that we can remove our cost prices, he said. What are the charges for EUR1 and the COE?
I'm not sure, you can't use an EUR1 for Chinese origin goods. You can use a certificate of origin. But what is he saying? He's bought something in from China, so he may have paid an import duty on that. And if he's re-exporting it, you can claim that back, but you have to have your paperwork to support that.
I have a question for you. I could clear it up quickly. And what I'm saying to you is, you showed a demonstration of your sample invoice you were using as a reference point.
Oh, yes.
Of origin. On that, you were showing your cost prices, which really, and also the details of where we're buying the product from, which basically means we can, our customers can go directly to our client.
Oh, sorry, I see what you
direct.
Yeah, with any proof document, your customer will not see that. But if you wish, you can blank those prices out when you give them to me.
Yeah, because you hadn't shown that, you see.
See that.
Yeah, also you didn't show your commodity codes on any of your invoices, so hence my question, are commodity codes required?
Yeah, I'm sorry, that was just a sort of an example. We do recommend that you put those on. Alan, what would you suggest that?
Well, this is a running battle with me and my clients. I would never put a commodity code on, Francis, unless I was asked to do so, because it is possible, not that the commodity code might be incorrect, and it might jeopardize your the importer or your buyer by giving them the wrong commodity code. So on a personal level, I always say to my clients, don't put on the commodity code unless you're asked to put on the commodity code. That's my answer.
Agree. I totally agree. That's what I do.
Well, thank you. Yeah,
absolutely right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Everyone that's answered that one.
Question: what are the costs for all of this? What's the cost for that certificate of origin, and is there a cost for the EUR one?
The chamber cost, yes.
Yeah.
Francis, you can go. Yeah.
As a member of the Chamber of Commerce, you get a 50% discount, but otherwise they're £50 a document plus VAT.
What's that, each one?
Each one, yes.
So £100 every order. Basically, we've got to bang on our costs.
Unless you're a member of the Chamber, in which case that cost comes down to £25 a document.
But £50 then plus VAT. Well, £50 to get the VAT back.
I'm afraid so, yes.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Is that Peter? Okay. Yeah, that's answered. Next one. How do we get advice on re-importing goods from the rest of the world that are being returned to us for service? That's a tricky area. Helen, are you more?
Well, the traditional way, and I stand corrected, but I don't think it has changed, is they would be brought. Okay, it's coming from Japan. When the item comes in from Japan, it would be entered as a temporary import. Then when it goes back, it would be entered as a temporary import being re-exported, if you follow me. So it is on your customs entry form, on your C88, it would show under a CPC code. That's a temporary import. So it will be treated as a temporary import and then exported as a temporary import being exported. They're my words, but that is the system. And I haven't seen any changes to that. So I'm saying that is the procedure as it is now. The whole thing about where we are right now is it's like walking on thin ice. You know, you say to somebody, this is the rule, and then you get a phone call from somebody saying, actually, it's not the rule. They changed that last week. So I always emphasize, as I speak, this is the rule. So temporary import and then re-exported as a temporary export being returned.
Alan, can I ask a question there? Because it's exactly about that one. Don't you have to register for temporary imports?
You've got me there. You've got me there. I don't know is the answer, is my honest answer on that. I never had to do personally, but I stand corrected, Debbie. So I don't know the answer.
Debbie, we'll get back to you on that one. Well, okay, that's got us. Okay, thank you. I'm doing all these questions and answers as they've come in on the list. So if anyone's wondering why I haven't done this yet, it's purely because I'm going down. Next one from Sarah. Do we have to put net weight by commodity code per product on the invoice?
Well, I think we've sort of agreed not to put the commodity code on, haven't we? But no, for my, I think for that's a choice you have to make. But net weight.
Yeah.
I would have thought more on a packing list or something. What would you say?
Yeah. The answer, the immediate answer is no, unless you've been asked to do so. And as Francis intimated a while ago, unless it's on a letter of credit. It might say commodity code must appear on the letter of credit and the net weight and gross weights must appear. But outside a letter of credit, the definitive answer is no, unless you've been asked by for the buyer, but no. You don't have to put them there.
Don't give them any more information than you need
well,
to.
In one, John, in one. Yeah, we're busy enough. Yeah. You know, preparing documents without putting extra information on them. Yeah.
Okay, next one. Thank you. Do our customers and EU-based sales consultants now need an EORI number to receive samples in the EU?
Can you throw that at me again? If you're receiving samples.
Do our customers and EU-based sales consultants now need an EORI number to receive samples in the EU? I thought the answer was yes when I did the customs declaration.
Yeah. I would say yes as well.
Yeah.
Because the EURI, or EURI as we all call it nowadays, it identifies you as a trader, and by which customs can follow your actions, so to speak. Yeah.
Whether it's samples or the
I would say so. Yeah.
Okay. Will we need to show that on our invoices to B2B orders to the EU?
Is that a similar question?
Similar,
but slightly different. Okay, I would think not, to be honest.
I'm just, sorry, excuse me, John, go ahead.
Yeah. No, go for it, please.
No. Okay, can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Will we need to show that on our invoices for B2B orders to the EU?
Should we show VAT on the EU? No, good. Again, I'm being a little hazy on this because I'm not an authority on VAT and I haven't read up much on VAT.
You zero rate it. You zero rate them. You do. You zero rate them.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Okay, there's your answer. You zero rated.
Yeah, yeah. I'd say it's more an HMRC one than the chamber. Peter, you were shaking your head. Your agreement as well, I take it.
That's
Who,
correct.
me?
Zero rated going out. But however, each country, there's an issue about the EU VAT, because it may well be that we may have to pay the VAT on the product as it goes into that country in the EU.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
Correct,
therefore,
Peter.
that will increase our costs.
Yeah.
And each country is different. It's not,
Correct.
so it's going to be a challenge. Depending on what country you do most of your business with, you're going to need to check out, and your client will probably be helpful on this, to find out what the current situation is with that particular country as to whether you're going to be charged VAT on your product coming in. You won't be charged, your invoice won't show it, but when they get there, the client's going to have to pay VAT, which is going to pass back to you, because you are responsible for the goods even in that country. Because that's a massive change in the EU, with the EU now.
Yeah, no, I've said to several companies in response to sort of similar-ish questions, speak to your customer, your company you're selling to in Romania, Italy, wherever, find out what they need, you know, and because we don't know all the systems in different countries, of course, as you say, they're all going to be different. Pete, you said on those two examples, you've not shown any quantity codes. We've covered that off, I think. Excuse me, Vice going. Next question. Only a few of our customers request EUR1 forms now, usually from the Arab states. Should we be sending EUR1s to all customers now, or only if requested as before? Is the self-declaration just as beneficial on the invoice?
Well, there's only certain countries you can use EUR1s for, and again, they have to have the preference of, qualify for the preference to use them. I'm just having a look to see what countries. I think Lebanon and Jordan, but again, it's if they ask you for it, because we do shipments for people and they don't always ask, their customer hasn't always asked for one. Whether that's because they don't have the preference, I don't know, but yeah, you can do them for Arab countries, but you don't automatically do it. It has to qualify.
Okay, thank you. It's one from Debbie. I thought you had to be registered for Tempo Ray import and are limited to how many per year. And then there's Debbie, do you want to unmute and come in and ask that one? I can't see you on my screen.
No, thinking this question would come up a lot later, I did actually interrupt Alan and asked. We had to register for temporary imports because things are sent to us for coating. And we were allowed so many a year, but once we exceeded it, we had to register in full. So all I would say is please check out, especially if you've got returned goods, protection or things like that, because you don't want to pay duty on import and on the re-export of them for your customer, because he won't expect to pay his duty twice. Now that may have changed under Brexit. I have not checked that out.
Thank you.
Was anyone aware of that problem?
No.
Not at the moment, no. Okay, something else to make a note of. Last question at the moment on the chart I can see. Is the TCA where you need to look up your chapter heading to find out the percentage of non-originating goods allowed to be in your product which has gone through a process?
Do you notice the utter silence on that one? Because we're coming back to origin and the constituent parts that makes it an origin of a particular country. So I'm saying, as I said before, I'm hedging my bets on this one. And I'm saying to all of us here, hang in there until the 17th and ask the same question, because I'm not qualified to answer that question. And the whole idea of the rules of origin and percentage-wise of what constitutes it's made in England when bits are coming in from Japan and Indonesia, etc., is very complicated. And I don't say that as a way of evading the answer. So rather than giving false information to you, I kind of put my hands up and say, well, no, I'm not really qualified to answer that in full now. But please do attend the seminar or the webinar on the 17th, and it's dedicated to rules of origin and all aspects of rules of origin. And I think your question would be better placed there, and you would get a professional qualified answer rather than a half answer from me. So I'd say join the, like I am joining, join the webinar.
Yeah. Thank you, Alan, for advertising that. We've got a few minutes left. There's no more questions at the moment, but I'm sure more coming in. Alan, do you just want to say a few words about your thoughts on the deal and where we stand?
Yeah, just a few. I'll try and not make it into a party political broadcast here, but just in general, the euphoria of we can trade with the European Union, and in the main, we can import goods from the European Union without paying import duty. That's true. Yeah, that is true to the great extent. But just a word of caution to everybody. And Peter Jenkin, who obviously, and rightly so, is very into costings and hidden costs, etc. You'll be costing for sending your goods to France. And in that, you'll be saying, well, it's duty free. I don't pay duty on this. Okay. But there's a clause, which I did not read. I was informed about this. There's a clause in the agreement. And that clause is poison. And that clause briefly says this. It's called the rebalancing clause. And basically what it says is, as the UK is going out on its own, and it will be doing deals all over the world, if any of those trade agreements upsets us, the European Union, or gives you, the UK, an edge, we can call in all the concessions we've given you, slap your wrist, and put you back into possibly paying import duty. So this is a sword over us. And nobody ever told us this. We were all told it's, you know, a done deal and we're going to be wonderful, etc. But it's just for the future. I'd keep a weather eye on that. And it could hop in or come in as and when the European Union think we're upsetting them. So that's all I'm saying on that. It's the rebalancing clause. So we're not duty free forever and a day. So I'd say to Peter and all of those people out there, you know, keep a weather eye out. It's not going to hit you between the eyes tomorrow morning, but keep a weather eye out on this, because we could go back into paying import duty for our colleagues in the European Union. Could be paying, could be imposing upon us import duty.
Alan, I've got a few more questions coming in. Did you want to say a few words on the thoughts?
No, it's just that, because it's such a vast subject, and you know, some of it is still in Never Never Land. So it's no, I'm finished. I'm finished on that. Right.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going to say a few words about the
I'm sorry.
I thought you were going to say a few words about the border problems and things.
Well, yeah, as we all know, we're having a heck of a lot of trouble at the border right now between the UK for trucking right now and for sea freight, but mainly for trucking. We're having a heck of a lot of trouble at the border right now. And I think it's going to, you know, here's the voice of doom, but I think it's going to get worse, because there are some carriers, haulage companies, that are not taking on clients because they don't know the system. And it's not they don't know the system through ignorance, It's that they're getting very, very little help from HMRC. So any of you trading with the European Union, I would really sit down, which I'm sure most of you have done, with your haulage company, with your freight forwarder, and make sure that they know what they're doing. Because it's not the fault of their own, they're quite intelligent people, but it is just the, let's call it bureaucracy. And haulage companies are being turned away at Dover because they don't have the correct paperwork. There's a mountain of paperwork, and that's, I'm putting in quotes. But I can't find, as a consultant, I cannot find anywhere on the government website where it tells you in plain speak, this is what you need paperwork-wise. So bottom line is, if you are sending goods by air freight, sea freight, but trucking, which is the most usual way, to the European Union, please make sure that the company you're using, the freight forwarder or the haulier, is fully conversant with what they're doing. Because some of these companies are taking your cargoes and they're stuck and not allowed past Dover because they haven't made out their forms. That's all. So that's my voice of doom bit. Just make sure that third parties representing you in the logistics of getting it from the UK to our former partners in the EU know what they're doing. End of story.
Right. Thank you, Alan. That's sage advice. Back to the questions, if you're in a remaining time. May I clarify, we are in a free trade agreement, so EU B2B clients will not have to pay duty.
Yes. Yeah. We don't pay import duty right now on the majority of goods.
Yeah.
On the majority of goods. On the bread and butter goods that your membership is inclined to ship. Yeah. Yeah. It's duty free.
Right. Thank you. We import a product from the US and pay duty, and then import to Norway, and now the customer has to pay duty again. Is there a way around this?
Francis, isn't that preferential trading with Norway?
I believe we've got the agreement provisionally with Norway.
Yeah.
But if you, I mean, this is a duty thing, isn't it? About import, paid the duty on it, and then you re-export it. You should be able to claim your duty back on what you paid to import it.
Not necessarily, I don't think.
I mean,
Peter Jenkins, are you still there?
he's a resident expert.
The instant expert.
When you're importing it in, you should be able, when you re-export it out, I presume you do something to it, then re-export it out. I'm sure you can claim your duty back from your import in.
Yeah. But if you're importing a widget and exporting a widget.
Yeah, if you do something to it, if it's just a straightforward through.
No, yes, if it's under, say, inward processing relief, yeah, you get your duty back.
It's a product in and a product out. There's no process.
There's a product in, a product out. Okay, well, if you're importing from outside the European Union, you pay your import duty like you always did. And then you're going to add that to your costs, obviously, for your export costs. Right. And it's going over to wherever you said it's going to, and they pay their import duty. As far as I'm
twice, effectively.
Yeah. But lots of companies do that anyway. They pay twice.
Alan, you register for duty drawback. Now that all countries are outside the EU, he'd be able to do drawback.
Yes, you could do. You could do duty drawback, or let me think on duty drawback. It's still under inward processing relief. Duty drawback is still under IPR, but the member's question was, and answer was, there's no processing on the item.
No.
It's widgets in, widgets out.
It's purely distribution.
Yeah. So what I say, yes, unfortunately, the end user there has to pay double.
Yes.
Unless they're in a preferential trading agreement with the UK, and the goods are eligible for preferential trading. But
So, Francis, did you say Norway is looking at that, or is there something happening there?
Yeah, it's provisional, so it will provisional application. Norway and Iceland. It's a provisional application, so we can do an EUR1 for Norway.
Okay.
Because they're still in the old F. Yeah.
But it won't, anyway. I don't think it applies to USA origin goods, though.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so just moving on, but so one
Thanks.
Still got thanks, Darren. Sorry, thank you. Is your webinar going to be online? I see one of my colleagues has already answered it. Yes, I said at the beginning it will be available on the website. Alison sent round a reminder about a link to our Herts Chamber website about it's the 19th of January, but I'll just round that up at the end. Next question, government website sends you around in a circle. If you send a question, they reply with use attached link, which again sends you around in a circle.
Yeah.
What more can I say? Somebody else, isn't imported goods from Germany only duty free if the goods are of EU origin?
Let me just think it through. Again, it comes down to preference, doesn't it? Rules of origin, I should say.
Yeah, I can probably, we do bring some product in from Germany, but its origin was China, so there's duty on it.
Yeah.
So
it's the answer is rules of origin.
First to 19th of January, and I think in interest of time, so we've got a few people who have left us. I do want a very quick roundup. Last question from Tom: if we're buying a product locally from a EU company and then exporting it to the EU, do we need a statement or a proof of origin of that product from the UK company? That's a fairly easy one, I think, to end on. Alison, Francis, do you want to?
I don't think you need to provide somebody else with any proof of that manufacturer, but I think they may ask you for a declaration, self-declaration of origin, which it's kind of on the slides. You make a declaration to your customer that you're selling it to, or you can use a certificate of origin if the customer accepts that.
Francis, it's Debbie. Very sorry, we've just finished an audit today, which is why one of the reasons I'm attending, and they have asked us to hold evidence of evidence of origin.
So customs, is it?
No, it's HMRC. We've just finished one. You
need to have all your evidence for that purpose. I thought he meant giving it to his customer.
No, I was having to hold it.
You do need to prove for customs.
Yeah, I think to clarify, Debbie, you're dead right. HMRC do want you to hold on to that, but actually proving it to somebody else, that's another matter. And there is confidentiality as well. We've come across cases before where people don't want them to know where they get the goods from. So, you know, that's between the companies really. But you're right, HMRC will want to see proof if you're audited. Okay, well, as I said at the beginning, we're not, nobody's an expert on this, and there's probably, definitely more questions than ours, the old song went. So, yeah, I mean, I hope we've answered many questions. There's many more, and I think things will change, and some will get clearer in the weeks ahead. Some might even get more more cloudy. But as we referred to a couple of times, there is the Rules of Origin webinar that's run by the British Chamber of Commerce. That's 19th of January at 12:30. It's free to members, £12.50 for non-members. Details are on the Herts Chamber website. We've also got, in conjunction with Herts Growth Hub, a webinar on the 26th of January at 11 o'clock, and that details will be going up shortly. And that's also to do with the EU transition, including import-export of goods and EU transition checker tool, etc., etc. So more information, a couple of weeks' time, even more info will come out. So I do strongly suggest, if you are an exporter or an importer, do listen into these. The more information you can get, the better. Yeah, we've got, I should have said, I've got quite a few links on our website regarding all that we've been discussing, and of course gov.uk as well. I think our time is pretty much up. There's no more questions come in. Thank you so much, to everybody listening in and asking some great questions. I'm sure you've got many more, and perhaps, you know, of those questions that have been answered, there's more questions attached to those. Thank you so much to Alan for your input, Pete as well, indeed everybody, Debbie as well, coming with all your bits of your experience. I think putting together in this is the way forward. It's great to see Herts companies doing that. And of course, many thanks to Frances as well for a very professional and expert presentation from her.
Well done, Frances.
Yes,
John,
thank you.
Yes, well done, Frances.
John,
Thank
can
you,
I just add
Frances.
something? It's just, I just thought better mention that this is a big change for us as a country and all us as exporters and importers. And like everything else that's new, there's a lot of dust in the air, and time will prove that it will settle down.
Yes.
Don't all panic and throw all your toys out of the pram. Things will settle, and a normality will come back to life and come back to us again. And all the forms, the registrations that everybody's screaming and shouting about suddenly become more pale into insignificance, because things start to get, time moves on, and people tend to forget all the various things we need. As we all know, as exporters, certificates of origin, well, they were something else indeed, aren't they, really? So how many times have we tickets come from the UK? Hey, loads. Okay, so please don't panic. It's best just to let the dust settle, and time will tell, and normal life will resume.
Well done, Peter.
Well said, Peter. Yeah, we might be without cauliflower for a week or so, but hey, there's alternative. And we'll get through it. Yes, there we go. Okay, thank you so much again, everybody. It's been lovely having you all. Good to see some faces behind some of the names of the companies that Frances and I deal with on a daily basis. And don't forget, please, if you've got any questions, any queries, gov.uk, our website, and we're here as well to help as much as we possibly can. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank